Check one, check two, check one, check two, ah la la, oh. Yeah, good morning, everybody. What are we going to talk about today? First, make sure your brain is in gear before you start singing. Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo. He says we lie, we cheat, we steal. We lie, we cheat, and we steal. Mike Pompeo. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. Today is October 3rd in the year 2023. A few days until election time in America, and boy, are things getting strange. The great Julian Assange has spoken. Sometimes I feel like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. How you doing? The great. What a time for a program, right? The great Julian Assange has spoke finally. Now he hasn't really spoke. He waved to the crowd after he was released from Belmarsh prison in England. If you don't know the story, if you're too young to remember and or you just, refuse to remember, Julian Assange, probably one of the greatest journalists, probably the greatest journalist of our time, revealing startling facts about the corruption that is and remains government. And so after 14 years of incarceration, half of it was being chased into the Ecuadorian embassy in England, and then finally into solitary confinement at Belmarsh prison in England, held on no charges other than a U.S. extradition charge. And he finally got out, and he spoke. He flew to Germany. You're going to hear the speech from Germany. I'm going to give the whole time to Julian Assange today. We'll listen to what he's saying and why he's saying it. And I see that the mainstream media overnight has not caught the big part of it, which even Democracy Now! Missed it, is that Julian Assange is clearly telling you that it was Mike Pompeo, the reason why they rounded Julian Assange up in the last minute is because Trump had appointed Mike Pompeo, a CIA asset, and William Barr, also a CIA asset, to lead up the Department of Justice and Secretary of State, right? So the CIA totally infiltrated Trump's, fucking cabinet. Now, do we blame Trump for it? Was Trump gullible and vulnerable and amateur by picking Pompeo and William Barr? Probably, but having that happen, maybe it won't happen again if Trump gets reelected. Maybe he learned something from the experience and fired all those guys, Mike Pompeo. But Julian Assange is quite clear that it was Mike Pompeo who, because Julian Assange was pointing out the loss of speech in Europe, throughout Europe, the loss of free speech, and that free speech only applied to the Americans. For that reason, and that reason, it seems alone, was the reason that Julian Assange ultimately got thrown into prison. Remember, during the Obama administration, President Obama failed to and or refused to prosecute Julian Assange because Julian Assange was classified as a journalist and he was doing journalism work. And then Trump came in and everything changed. mostly because of the CIA hacks. Did Trump give the green light to incarcerate Julian Assange? I probably not. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, here's what we'll find out. By the end of the program, maybe we'll know. The great Julian Assange speaks. There he is, and there's Mike Pompeo, if you recall. If you don't remember who he is, you're going to remember him now. He was the sitting Secretary of State. Him and John Bolton and William Barr created more hell on earth in politics than any fucking administration that I've seen in a while. Overturning, communication rights. Trump is, now on the other side of that, the receiving end of the corruption. So we'll see if he, scapegoats it one more time. We shall find out. So we'll look at that. Marcus Conte, here I am. We got a website every morning, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 a.m. right here in the great United States of America. I'm going to do a little coverage on get your white privilege out of here soon. A lot brewing there, it seems. And we're heading for a big hearing. I just put up another document that was sent into the court, if you want to read it. White coats. You wouldn't believe what I discovered over there. It was fucking crazy. So I sent this in, but look at these images inside this document. Pop it open and you'll find out about white people in white coats. It's almost like a Klan rally, except it's not white hoods. It's white coats and masks. And they're kneeling on the doctors and white coat people kneeling on the lawn of the Brooklyn Hospital Center, praying for the blacks, right? Throwing the whites under the bus, white coats. It's fucking crazy stuff, man. Racist hospital, man. We got to fix these people. Got to take care of these people. Got to take them down. So let's start here. Let Amy Goodman frame it for us, please.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange spoke publicly today for the first time since he was released from the maximum security Belmarsh prison in London in June. He addressed the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and France about his 14-year legal saga after publishing evidence of U.S. war crimes in Iraq and Afghanistan. Assange was freed from the prison in London after pleading guilty to a U.S. charge of obtaining and disclosing national security material. Assange's legal odyssey included house arrest for a year, 7 years, taking refuge in the cramped Ecuadorian embassy in London under political asylum, and then the Belmarsh prison. At the time he pled guilty, Assange was fighting extradition to the United States, where he faced up to 175 years in prison. Today marked the first time the world has heard Julian Assange's voice since British police raided the Ecuadorian embassy in 2019 and took him out. This is Julian Assange.
So I'm going to I'll just thank you, Amy Goodman, for that overview. But it does seem that she forgot to mention that the last half of Julian Assange's speech pointed directly at Mike Pompeo and the amping up of going after him, going after Julian, after Julian Assange published, things about how the American CIA was trying to stifle speech in Europe. And they've successfully done it. Europeans, if you're watching this, Europeans don't have a freedom of speech right carved into their constitution like we do here in the United States. Although it's not respected here, although it's not abided by most of the time here, it still does exist, and every once in a while you can argue for it. But anyway, let's go. This is Mike Pompeo. By the way, who we're talking about. Mike Pompeo.
When I was a cadet, what's the cadet motto at West Point?
Don't lie.
You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like, director, we lied, we cheated, we stole. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. Let's say it together. CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole.
It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
Born Vicarious asking about the white coats. I'll talk about that on another program, maybe Monday or so. It was a 2020 group. They're still around, and they are very much like Black Lives Matter. It seems same ideology. Read through the file, and you'll get an idea of who they are. But that's back to the subject at hand here. That's Mike Pompeo, former CIA hack, became Secretary of State under Donald Trump, and almost admitting that he lies, he cheats, he steals. Right? That's what the CIA does. Right? They just fabricate and manipulate and screw people with that information. So, without further ado,
Mr.
Julian Assange.
Chairman, esteemed members of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, ladies and gentlemen. The transition from years of confinement in a maximum security prison to being here before the representatives of 46 nations and 700 million people is a profound and a surreal shift.
This guy, this, by the way, is happening in, is that a cigar on his desk? It's a crayon. This is happening, by the way, in Germany. It's happening in Strasbourg, Germany. So Julian Assange got on a plane from Australia. He's flying. He's global now. He's in Australia, Germany, excuse me.
The experience of isolation for years in a small cell, leaving only the raw essence of existence. I am yet not fully equipped to speak about what I have endured, the relentless struggle to stay alive, both physically and mentally, nor can I speak yet about the deaths by hanging, murder, and medical neglect of my fellow prisoners. I apologize in advance if my words falter or if my presentation lacks the polish you might expect from such a distinguished forum. Isolation has taken its toll, which I am trying to unwind, and expressing myself in this setting is a challenge.
Yep.
However, the gravity of this occasion...
He looks like he's struggling a little bit, but not really. He has his two lawyers, one of which is his wife, bookending him on both sides. He looks pretty good. I mean, he's, for all things considered, he's able to write and or give a speech and give a speech.
...occasion and the weight of the issues at hand compel me to set aside my reservations and speak to you directly. I have traveled a long way, literally and figuratively, to be before you today. Before our discussion or answering any questions you might have, I wish to thank PACE for its 2020 resolution, which stated that my imprisonment set a dangerous precedent for journalists and noted that the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture called for my release. I'm also grateful for PACE's 2021 statement, expressing concern over credible reports that US officials discussed my assassination, again calling for my prompt release. And
so he definitely says that the CIA was trying to kill him, right? Our government, right? Your government, our government, the government, we the people, was trying to kill Julian Assange without anybody's permission. Half the world was cheering for his release and his illegal prosecution, but the United States was trying to kill him.
I commend the Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee for commissioning a renowned rapporteur, Suna Iversdottir, to investigate the circumstances surrounding my detention and conviction and the consequent implications for human rights. However, like so many of the efforts made in my case, whether they were from parliamentarians, presidents, prime ministers, the Pope, UN officials and diplomats, unions, legal and medical professionals, academics, activists, or citizens, none of them should have been necessary. None of the statements, resolutions, reports, films, articles, events, fundraisers, protests, and letters over the last 14 years should have been necessary. But all of them were necessary because without them, I never would have seen the light of day. This unprecedented global effort was needed because the legal protections that did exist, many existed only on paper, were not effective in any remotely reasonable time. I eventually chose freedom over unrealizable justice after being detained for years and facing a 175-year sentence with no effective remedy. Justice, for me, is now precluded as the US government insisted in writing into its plea agreement that I cannot file a case at the European Court of Human Rights or even a Freedom of Information Act request over what it did to me as a result of its extradition request. I want to be totally clear. I am not free today because the system worked. I am free today after years of incarceration because I pled guilty to journalism.
Wow. This is the big line that the mainstream media is running with. I pleaded guilty to journalism.
I pled guilty to seeking information from a source. I pled guilty to obtaining information from a source.
Chelsea Manning.
And I pled guilty to informing the public what that information was.
Bravo.
I did not plead guilty to anything else. I hope my testimony today can serve to highlight the weaknesses of the existing safeguards and to help those whose cases are less visible but who are equally vulnerable. As I emerge from the dungeon of Belmarsh, the truth now seems less discernible, and I regret how much ground has been lost during that time period, how expressing the truth has been undermined, attacked, weakened, and diminished. I see more impunity, more secrecy, more retaliation for telling the truth, and more self-censorship. It is hard not to draw a line from the US government's prosecution of me. It's crossing the Rubicon by internationally criminalism.
I'm going to just jump ahead a little bit.
So many law firm commercials.
We gotta get a
How do you
commercial.
choose the right firm? A lot of firms can talk big.
The UK government took part in some of this retribution. It admitted at the European Court of Human Rights that it had unlawfully spied on my UK lawyers during this time.
Spying.
Ultimately, this harassment was legally groundless. President Obama's Justice Department chose not to indict me, recognizing that no crime had been committed.
That's right. See that? Obama, like him or not, even Barack Obama knew that nothing that Julian Assange had done was criminal, and the case was dropped. Right? Assange was about to walk out. You wonder if Hillary Clinton would have got elected, if Assange would have walked out the door. But under Trump and Pompeo and William Barr and Mike Bolton, they fucking locked him up.
The United States had never before prosecuted a publisher for publishing or obtaining government information.
They gave him a hero's welcome, right? In America. If you exposed corruption like that as a journalist, you were a hero. You won the Pulitzer Prize. Now you get 5 years in solitary confinement.
To do so would require a radical and ominous reinterpretation of the US Constitution. In January 2017, Obama also commuted the sentence of Manning, who had been convicted of being one of my sources. However, in February 2017, the landscape changed dramatically. President Trump had been elected.
Here's where it gets interesting.
He appointed two wolves in MAGA hats.
Yes.
Mike Pompeo, a Kansas congressman and former arms industry executive, as CIA director.
Yep.
And William Barr, a former CIA officer, as U.S. Attorney General.
Ding, 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 ding. You see that? You see what's happening here? You see he's now able to see clearly who came after him, and he's saying it's Pompeo and William Barr, the guy that we forgave, Attorney General William Barr.
By March 2017, WikiLeaks had exposed the CIA's infiltration of French political parties. It's spying. The
infiltration. Listen to what he's saying, because this is not really that widely known. Infiltration of French. What?
Exposed the CIA's infiltration of French political parties.
The infiltration of French political parties, and
it's spying on French and German leaders.
There you go. CIA. That's the CIA doing it. The American CIA doing it. And Julian Assange was reporting on that.
European Central Bank, European Economics Ministries, and its standing orders to spy on French industry as a whole. We revealed the CIA's vast production of malware and viruses, its subversion of supply chains.
Amazing.
Its subversion of antivirus software, cars, smart TVs, and iPhones. CIA Director Pompeo launched a campaign of retribution.
Yep.
It is now a matter of public record that under Pompeo's explicit direction,
yes,
the CIA drew up plans to kidnap and to assassinate me within the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Mike Pompeo, the killer. Mike Pompeo wanted to kill Julian Assange. That was their solution. Kill him.
And authorized going after my European colleagues, subjecting us to theft, hacking attacks, and the planting of false information. My wife and my infant son were also targeted. A CIA asset was permanently assigned to track my wife, and instructions were given to obtain DNA from my 6-month-old son's nappy.
Amazing.
This is the testimony.
They're getting followed around by the CIA in Europe.
Of more than 30 current and former US intelligence officials speaking to the US press, which has been additionally corroborated by records seized in a prosecution brought against some of the CIA agents involved. The CIA's targeting of myself, my family, and my associates through aggressive extrajudicial and extraterritorial means provides a rare insight into how powerful intelligence organizations engage in transnational repression.
That's the word right there, transnational repression. Transnational repression is the term for what they're talking about, which is basically, it's Cold War, really. It's spying on Germans, spying on the French, right, and using that information to manipulate the political fucking field. Right? That's what they're doing. Spies. America, we're a spy nation. Americans.
Such repressions.
Please don't do this in my name. Right? I respectfully decline to be associated with these hacks. Right? Let's dissolve the CIA once and for all. Let's reevaluate the FBI. Let's reduce them down to maybe 5 or 10% of what they are, and rebuild it in the image of an honest and America that wants to be great again.
Are not unique. What is unique is that we know so much about this one due to numerous whistleblowers and to judicial investigations in Spain.
And Spain.
This assembly is no stranger to extraterritorial abuses by the CIA.
Didn't know because they had locked him up for so long, right? We're now finding it out, right? This is since 2019. We haven't heard his voice, right? It was 5 years ago, a long time.
Pace's groundbreaking report on CIA renditions in Europe exposed how the CIA operated secret detention centers and conducted unlawful renditions on European soil, violating human rights and international law.
Yes.
In February this year, the alleged
violating human rights and international law. The Americans did that? Are you kidding me? Guantanamo? Oh, that's in Cuba. That's not American. That's not an American torture chamber.
Source of some of our CIA revelations former CIA officer Joshua Schulte, was sentenced to 40 years in prison under conditions of extreme isolation. His windows are blacked out,
Wow.
and a white noise machine plays 24 hours a day
Torture.
over his door so that he cannot even shout through it.
Torture.
These conditions are more severe than those found in Guantanamo Bay.
Imagine that, right? The whistleblower is now telling you that the prisons are more dangerous and more fucking crazy than Guantanamo Bay, right? Where we send alleged terrorists to be tortured. Right? It's worse. Yeah, they don't waterboard people, but they put them in extreme isolation and starve them and I don't know, whatever else they're doing, right? Maybe dripping water or something to drive them crazy.
But transnational repression is also conducted by abusing legal processes.
Yes. We call that lawfare now, Julian. You've been gone for a while, but that's commonplace now. Lawfare, using the law to go after your political and or your political enemies or your perceived enemies.
The lack of effective safeguards against this means that Europe is vulnerable to having its mutual legal assistance and extradition treaties hijacked by foreign powers to go after dissenting voices in Europe.
Yep.
In Michael Pompeo's memoirs, which I read in my prison cell, the former CIA director bragged about how he pressured the US Attorney General to bring an extradition case against me in response to our publications about the CIA.
That's Mike Pompeo he's talking about. Mike Pompeo bragged about it. We don't have that video, but let's just say that someone heard it and revealed it.
Indeed, acceding to Pompeo's requests, the US Attorney General reopened the investigation against me that Obama had closed and rearrested Manning, this time as a witness.
Yep.
Manning was held in a prison for over a year, fined $1,000 a day in a formal attempt to coerce her into providing secret testimony against me.
Wow.
She ended up attempting to take her own life.
Fucking tragedy.
We usually think of attempts to force journalists to testify against their sources. But Manning was now a source being forced to testify against their journalist.
A source. Can you imagine how corrupt the CIA is? They take a source, a guy who exposes corruption, and then forces them to testify against the journalist who reported it. It's just so goddamn twisted, right? How come people don't see this? People don't want to see it. They don't want to see that the government is deeply corrupted, that anything that they throw at Julian Assange is worthy because he's such a bad person. Right? This is bad precedence, really.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief.
Let's get this out of here.
By December 2017, CIA Director Pompeo had got his way, and the US government issued a warrant to the UK for my extradition. The UK government kept the warrant secret from the public for 2 more years, while the US government,
They treated him like a 9/11 terrorist. That's the treatment he's getting. That they violate international law. They just go after their guy at any cost. And Julian Assange, a publisher, was swept into that, really, for having a big mouth, for telling the world what was going on.
and the new president of Ecuador moved to shape the political, the legal, and the diplomatic grounds for my arrest. When powerful nations feel entitled to target individuals beyond their borders, those individuals do not stand a chance unless there are strong safeguards in place and a state willing to enforce them. Without this, no individual has a hope of defending themselves against the vast resources of that a state aggressor can deploy.
Yep. I do think he's taking a risk by flying to Germany by chance, saying these things. He better get his ass back to Australia, where he's from. Right? At least Australia will protect him. You see how fast Germany will throw him under the bus. If U.S. troops and U.S. CIA grabbed Assange outside in a German airport, Germany's not going to do much, right? They'll turn their back to it. Stay in Australia and get yourself an internet connection and broadcast from there, Julian. People will listen to you. Do it from the safety of your own farm.
If the situation were not already bad enough in my case, the US government asserted a dangerous new global legal position. Only US citizens have free speech rights.
This is interesting right here. Listen to this.
Europeans and other nationalities do not have free speech rights.
So Julian Assange was fighting for the free speech rights of Europeans, right? And the it's beyond banana republic stuff. It really is.
But the US claims its Espionage Act still applies to them,
yep,
regardless of where they are.
They can go after
so
anybody.
Europeans in Europe must obey US secrecy law with no defenses at all as far as the US government is concerned. An American in Paris can talk about what the US government is up to, perhaps. But for a Frenchman in Paris,
yeah,
to do so is a crime
wow,
with no defense, and he may be extradited just like me.
Wow.
Now that one foreign government has formally asserted that Europeans have no free speech rights, a dangerous precedent has been set. Other powerful states will inevitably follow suit. The war in Ukraine has already seen the criminalization of journalists in Russia.
Yes.
But based on the precedent set in my extradition, there is nothing to stop Russia, or indeed any other state, from targeting European journalists, publishers, or even social media users by claiming that their domestic secrecy laws have been violated.
No more free speech. No more expose. No more exposing truth. It's just not allowed. It's become too convenient to operate our empire. And we'll either throw you in jail for the rest of your life, and if you're smart enough and have enough pockets to get out, maybe you'll get out in 10 years. Or we'll just kill you. We'll just shoot you down and blow up your van with your wife and your kid in it.
The rights of journalists and publishers within the European space are seriously threatened. Transnational repression cannot become the norm here. As one of the world's two great norm-setting institutions, PACE must act. The criminalization of news-gathering activities is a threat to investigative journalism everywhere.
Yep.
I was formally convicted by a foreign power for asking for, receiving, and publishing truthful information about that power while I was in Europe.
Yep.
The fundamental issue is simple. Journalists should not be prosecuted for doing their jobs. Journalism is not a crime. It is a pillar of a free and informed society. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, if Europe is to have a future where the freedom to speak and the freedom to publish the truth are not privileges enjoyed by a few, but rights guaranteed to all, then it must act so that what has happened in my case never happens to anyone else. I wish to express my deepest gratitude to this Assembly,
And everybody
to the
else.
Conservatives, Social Democrats, liberals, leftists, Greens and independents who have supported me throughout this ordeal, and to the countless individuals who have advocated tirelessly for my release. Mm-hmm. It is heartening to know that in a world often divided by ideology and interests, protection of essential human liberties. Freedom of expression and all that flows from it is at a dark crossroad. Mm-hmm. I fear that unless institutions like PACE wake up to the gravity of the situation, it will be too late.
Yes.
Let us all commit to doing our part to ensure that the light of freedom never dims, that the pursuit of truth will live on, and that the voices of the many are not silenced by the interests of the few.
Amen. Total brilliance, brilliance. Julian fucking Assange. What a great thing, man. So look at the markets quickly. What a great piece right there. Julian Assange now on the record. And good news, Donald J. Trump's stock is up 2% this morning. Is he going to win? I don't know. I'm not going to look at the polls right now. But in light of the fact, our news today, let's see what we got here. What do we got? Dow Jones Industrial Average down 190, NASDAQ down 27, S&P 500 down 10. So we got a bit of red going on right now. It's the headline. Dock workers strike over automation is just the beginning. Dock workers are pissed off that jobs are going to AI, going the way of AI. A lot of red here. NVIDIA's up. How's the rest of it? Apple down a little bit. Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. Technology is definitely down today. What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin getting whacked again, down $420 a share to 60,000. Still not so shabby. Military industrial complex stocks still not getting their fucking war. Lockheed Martin 600. I think that's split. I think that's a split right there, a reverse split. Raytheon, Boeing, all in the red right now. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, your pill pushers down as well. So the market is kind of red right now. So I'm a little shell-shocked right now watching a journalist being prosecuted like that, getting out and having to face the world after 14 years of being on the run. The last 5 or 6 being in solitary confinement and losing almost complete touch with the world. Although he probably was, he says he read Mike Pompeo's book while he was in jail. I'm sure he had some access to paper, newspaper and such, but had no access whatsoever to his research tools, to his research team, to people dumping information on him. But what a time! I hope my hope is that Julian Assange continues to do what he's doing. I would pray for his safety, and if I could inform him, I would say stay in Australia and build yourself a bunker, build yourself a comfortable place, right, where you can go and broadcast and communicate to the millions and millions of people who want to hear from you. And just stay there. It's as good as being there, right? You don't have to necessarily be in Germany to address Germans. You can simply go, you can go online and do it. You can do it through Zoom these days. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you guys. Today's Thursday. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Go exercise. Enlighten yourself, right? Because if you feel good, if you can hone that sense of joy within, then all of this chaos, all of this confusion, all of this banana republic we see around us, it doesn't taste as bad. It tastes a little sweeter, right? You just know that humans are fucked, And the bigger they get, the more corrupt they get. Marcus Conte reporting.